Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is, what is it now? August 4th already? I was just thinking how quickly it feels as though, like, August accelerates the time significantly. Paul Shivari, are you taking time off or just regularly you're not here on, I don't know your schedule. I should probably know these things. One second. He'll be joining us in a moment because I don't always push the right buttons to get somebody up on the audio. I am dazzled by how much hotter it feels now than it did a little while ago. Like 5 o'clock. How is it this hot?
Well, this is the warmest part of the day.
It feels like it's been the warmest part of the day. But does August feel like it accelerates much faster? Like July, like the summer generally goes fast, right? But now it feels like, I don't know. I'm not ready for it to be August 4th is what I'm saying.
The summer always flies by. You know, like it's like you get to Memorial Day and it's like, all right, we're in it. It's for real.
Yes.
School's over. Then all of a sudden it becomes July 4th somewhere. And you're like, okay, it's halfway. Maybe I wasted the first half. And then next thing you know, it's August. And you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do back to school shopping. I've got to do that, you know. And then it's over before you know it. So we know this as we get older. Summer just gets shorter and shorter.
What kind of, what are some of your, like, so I'll give you an example. Some of my favorite summer memories are baseball has always been a part of it because I played Little League Baseball. And with that, I played Little League Baseball with all boys. And then as soon as the season was over, I left for Girl Scout camp. Going to Girl Scout camp was my favorite thing from my childhood, I would say, from before I, started having to work a regular job because I was a counselor for a little bit. But what was your favorite thing about summer when you were a kid?
I guess if we're going to go back to like childhood, my grandparents used to stay with us every summer from Florida. And it was like out of all the grandkids, it was like my family was the one that always got them every year. So I felt like a closer connection to them than my cousins. So I'd say that, like my grandpa and grandma staying with us for the summer.
And did you grow up out in McHenry County? Like what?
Yeah, I grew up in Cary.
In Cary? Oh, so it was a little bit like a little more idyllic, I guess the people would say with summertime, not as urban and crowded.
Oh, it's like in a bubble. It's like the perfect suburb, like parks and just like kids on their bikes and like pick up football games and baseball games happening organically. Like it was a good place to grow up.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny because I had an interview that's going to air later with somebody who grew up in Brooklyn and in Flatbush, and he was talking about the '60s and the same thing, pick up football games and the neighborhood
playing stickball in the street.
He did say that. And it is, I will say, I feel as though I think that maybe some younger parents are being intentional about getting their kids out of the house.
Yeah.
I've seen way more kids on their bikes in the last few months than I have in years, honestly.
About a week ago, my kid hits me. It was like a nice day, and I'm like, what'd you do today? He's like, I stayed in and watched Star Wars. And I'm like, no, you're going to go outside because, like, it's like the end of the summer soon. You're going to go back to school. So he's been playing with friends, like having like play dates every day. So
that was smart of you to remind him. I mean, like, we can push our kids out. I don't know. I think we tried with Griffin, and I think we were successful in some ways. Like, we would find adventures and go, to like, we'd go on road trips and things like that. Like for me, when I was a kid, very little, my parents took me to Lodi, which is near Baraboo, Wisconsin, the Ringling Brothers Circus Museum up there, and the clown school. So they always had show. Like that's one of my favorite memories too. When I was talking to this author, Joel Dinerstein, he was saying that air conditioning slowed down like the interactions and the socializing because people like he said he actually remembers the summer when fewer people were outside. And because he said that people would be out, like grandparents would be outside with their picnic chairs, and watching kids and everyone like playing cards and dominoes and things like that. He said when air conditioning came around was when the older folk. So, we think about the kids.
That's a good thing. I think video games is a big one for kids too.
Yeah. But it's interesting to think about that because if you look at old images of the lakefront, people used to sleep on the beach to stay cool because in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, they didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah, it's like maybe the breeze off the lake was nice. Yeah.
Isn't that's wild to think about? Like we think about there. It almost seems like there was a pocket of time, like when people didn't go outside and go to the beach necessarily, and then we're at the beach, and then at parks, and out on the street interacting with each other, and then all of a sudden, no, we're all inside. We don't even know our neighbors now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody else mentioned there's a whole study on doing laundry because people used to go down to the river, right, and beat their clothing against a rock, and you would talk to each other and socialize that way. And then you still had like the laundromats where you're kind of gathering. Like I remember being at the laundromats in the 70s, and then the washing. It's actually you know what it is? Somebody was talking about it. It's an episode. Okay, everybody who's listening right now and went, that's an episode of Northern Exposure. Yeah.
Wow.
Where Janine Turner, it's so funny. I was watching it because so many things went through my head. One, what a great point about how we used to socialize, interact, how stories connect. And then, we have air conditioning and, as you mentioned, video games and television, like all these things that sort of separate us, right? We kind of, for me, after 9/11, I got TiVo and I could record anything, watch it anytime I wanted, didn't have to set up the VCR. Like for me, I was on lock after that.
Yeah, that was a game changer.
Oh.
Like I remember the appointment television of having to go home and see something that you wanted, or recording it on the VCR to program, and hoping that you had the right tape space, or that the VCR didn't reset the time or something.
Yeah, I'm just been thinking about the ways in which we all feel disconnected, and yet then now we have this new version of connecting, which is social media. But then what's real, right? At least when you were down at the river, beating your dirty laundry against a rock, you were talking to somebody who maybe came in with their own version of truth, but at least you could in person, right? Or
so there's natural ways that people would interact with each other.
Yeah, and even to your point about must-see TV or recording it, then we were talking about the same shows. I mean, there are shows that rise to popularity that everyone's talking about, but not the way it was. Even did you see what Johnny Carson said last night? Did you see that interview? Whatever, 60 Minutes, or because now we can't trust 60 Minutes and all this.
Yeah, you had a 1 in 3 shot or 1 in 5 shot that somebody was watching the same show as you, and now it's a 1 in a million shot. I'm struggling to find people that watch the same shows that I do. Otherwise, I feel like I'm spoiling it. And then even then, they might not be as caught up as you are.
What do you watch?
I'm into The Bear. I'm excited about Ted Lasso tonight, but it'll probably be a while until I get into it.
Is it a new season?
And then it varies. Rick and Morty, Smiling Friends, things like that. Like some of those dumb Adult Swim shows.
Did you watch? Now I'm going to go back to my couch with you. Not with you, but we're on our couches by ourselves in our homes. Did you watch Severance?
No, I didn't, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, no, Steve and I were just thinking of all the shows on Disney. That's not Disney, it's Apple, right? That's Apple TV, which is also Ted Lasso.
Yep.
We actually never watched the last season, so this is a new season today. Is that starting?
Yeah, season 4. I thought they were going to wrap it up after 3, but I guess they're bringing it back.
It looks like it's a women's soccer team.
They teased that in the finale that they do a women's part of the Richmond Football Club.
So I will give you something to watch if you're interested. It's a series that stars and I'm so terrible. I don't know either actress's name, but it's silly but serious and sort of thrilling. The actress who plays the owner of the soccer team from Ted Lasso, that statuesque, beautiful
Hannah Waddingham.
She is in a series called Ride and Die.
Okay.
Ride or Die? Yeah, My Ride or Die, right? That's so she's the actress's name I think is Olivia. Really it's a really interesting series, and she's basically she who doesn't love to watch a funny show about an assassin?
Yeah, right. Wait, did you ever get into the one that Bill Hader was in?
Absolutely, Barry.
See, and I never saw that one, but I heard it's really good.
I enjoyed that tremendously. Ride or Die stars Octavia Spencer and Hannah Waddington, as well as and Bill Nighy, who's great in that.
Okay,
you know him. You recognize him if you saw him. He's the guy who say. Do you remember?
You're not talking about the science guy. It's a different guy, right?
Nighy, Nighy.
Okay.
He's from. Did you see the movie Love Actually? This is going a little bit further.
No,
the
I never
Christmas
did.
movie. He's the rock singer who makes a comeback with a terrible Christmas song. Anyway, you would 1,000% recognize him if you saw him.
The name seems familiar to me. Yeah,
he's great. He's very good in this. At any rate, so I've been watching that. So I'm just trying to find So some shows we can connect on, and even if it's not ones that we see mutually, it's just kind of fun to talk about the stories that we're following.
Yeah.
Now, are there when you scroll, what is let me give you mindset.
I should say though that my summer viewing was the World Cup. I watched like 90% of the matches, so that was the show that I was into this year.
Yeah. Have you recovered from
No,
that
I
withdrawal?
haven't. That was a thrilling finale.
It was quite, and then fallout with FIFA and apparently the world saying if you sell this to whatchamacallit.
Oh yeah, Kushner's brother.
Yeah, we're out.
Yeah, there's that, the burnout of that, and then the fact that the season starts pretty soon. I saw Liverpool on Sunday when they were in town playing Leeds. Yeah, I'm not burnt out on footy yet.
I will say Hollander, is that his name? Hollander?
Erling Haaland from Manchester City in Norway.
Erling Haaland, yeah. He's pretty cool about his social media. Like, he responds to all the, like, super dorky folks. I mean, and as a dork, I'm not throwing any shade on anybody. But there are people who, once he became famous, were told, oh, you look like Erling Haaland, right? And so, and then they have made entire things about that, entire videos about it, and he's leaned into it and like elevated, even amplified there, because his following's like massive, like 35 million, massive.
Yeah, and I guess he'll like respond to certain people randomly too, which is cool.
Well, I really enjoyed the World Cup ride, and how often does it happen? Every 4 years?
Every 4 years, yeah.
Oh my God, I will be. Well, there's no reason to talk about how old I'll be at that point.
There's no reason for me to talk about soccer anymore. Who's on your show today?
We have coming up on the show. I probably should have I will go back to my office and grab my sheets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just completely out you?
No, not at all. What's on my show? I know that Morgan Coghill is going to be on our show because he's already in the waiting room. But I believe he's on at 5:30, and I'll let him in. He can hang out if he wants. But I have some questions for the audience as well about some stories that are in the news. We also have coming up. I know Corbin Trent is going to be on the show in a little bit, and I will also be having on the show. Well, we're going to talk about the stories in the news, obviously. Steve Minchuk from Indiana Labor. We're going to talk to him after 6 o'clock. There's a lot of labor stories going on. So Steve Minchuk is the president of the Northern Indiana Federation of Labor. By the way, folks, I want to remind you that there's a Labor Day parade coming up on September 5th, as well as Eddie Fest, which is returning, which has not been in person since 2019. So we're very excited about that Labor Day parade that I'm hoping to walk in that. We'll see. I'll see if I can make it. So let's also thank our sponsors. Thank you to Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com and put in an order for some of the best single origin roasted to order coffee beans you have ever had. They are a small batch roaster, and they really do such a great job. They're so intentional about everything. And when you go to the farmers markets in your area, for example, Jefferson Park, Edgewater, Skokie, they are there serving up your coffee right there on the spot, or selling you a bag of coffee beans that will hit the spot. And they also have some great gay swag, including a shirt that I have. I have a hoodie that says "Sounds Gay." I'm in, because I am. And I also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar, make an appointment with Peter Sorellis. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business, and he will help set that all up for you. He's also partnered with Illinois Solar for All so that you can get that financing sorted out as well. And it was great. I have to find out the name of the guy, the guest that Jonah just had on, because he did such a great job talking about why he's no longer doing stand-up comedy as a regular part of his profession. People often ask me why I'm not on stage anymore, and his answer was all there. Like, I'm so busy all the time. For 5 years I was working a full-time job, and it was hard for me to get on the road, and I was also doing this show. And I want to thank one of our listeners, Dave from Hoffman Estates. He called in yesterday to wish me a happy 5 years, and I said thank you for the card, and I did not have the card in my hand. And so those of you watching on Facebook, you can see that right there, our digital listeners for Facebook and YouTube, as well as Substack Live. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us digitally. He has a card that says, work hard, be honest, have fun, dream big, laugh often, be true to yourself. Follow your heart. Congratulations. So thank you for that, Dave. He has the on 5 years. He's trying to remember what day it was, and it could be August 2nd, 2021 through August 2nd, 2026. So yeah, I think that's the third would be the first Monday. The math evens out is all I'm saying, lady. Can you believe it's been 5 years? This is to you and me and Jerry and everyone involved. Just saying.
I can't believe time flies and having fun.
It really does. So really, thank you so much for the well wishes, Dave, as well as the birthday wishes, because it is my birthday month. What month is your birthday in?
Mine is March.
March. Yeah.
But my mom's birthday is also coming up Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is she a Virgo or a Leo?
She's a Leo.
She's a Leo. All right. Yeah, well, Leos are something else. I know we are. The thing is, somebody pointed out, I didn't realize there are 0 holidays. No holidays. I mean, like federal or otherwise. August is 0 holidays month, except for the birthdays of Leos.
Correct.
I've been a Leo my entire life, obviously. I did not know we didn't have a planet. Like, I don't think of astrological stuff. The sun is our guiding light is the sun, which makes a lot of sense. We absorb a lot. We shine a lot. We're very self-centered. We think the universe revolves around us. So it makes sense.
But you guys are leaders, and I admire Leos. Strong-minded. I love them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's take a break here and also thank our sponsors at Minocqua Brewing Company. Thank you to Kirk Bankstead. Please check out our Substack because I do write a weekly column on Mondays. Ben Cominos writes on Tuesdays. We've got some great products coming up on the Minocqua Brewing Company marketplace. That's minocquamarketplace.com. And there's great companies who are doing the heavy lifting of making sure you have quality products that are good for the environment. They're often companies owned by women of color, people who are LGBTQ, or those who support the mission of folks who tune into this radio show, except for the hate listeners. I don't know what to tell you. You should also buy these great products. Thank you so much to Minocqua Brewing Company. Again, minocquabrewingcompany.com. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and as I mentioned, all of our friends tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Minocqua Brewing Company Substack, as well as those of you who might be tuning in the future on our podcast available at heartlandsignal.com. More after this. I should probably hit the button.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
Or
and Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
There are primaries happening in other parts of the country, in particular Michigan and Kansas. It'll be interesting to see how those primaries turn out. Of course, we had Pastor Hamilton on yesterday, who's running for Congress in Kansas. Well, I wish him the best of luck. And it's a pretty full field for the Democrats, he said, but it sounded like he was in the lead as far as polling was reflecting. And we did a piece, Richard Eberwein, who writes for Heartland Signal. He's our editor and writer right now at Heartland Signal, and you should be checking out everything that they do at our Heartland Signal newsroom. He put together a piece about a congressman in Michigan, and I think I got his name right. It was Zinga. I'm not sure, but this guy has repeatedly voted to basically rescind Social Security. They want to diminish. They not rescind, but they want to raise the age. And when he was asked a few years ago about, why do you want to make it harder for seniors to be able to get by? When these cuts go in, like, why would you put these cuts in? He said, well, I'll be 106 when Social Security, is no longer available. So I'll be just fine, meaning that like he's going to make it harder for everybody else. But by the time he needs it, he'll be 106 years old because he's already made his money, presumably. At any rate, I do also want to talk about this story that I mentioned briefly. A writer and content creator named Leo Sullivan was in the Chicagoland area with his family. He was staying at a place called Arden Condominiums in Warrenville, Illinois. And he was approached by there were other people in the pool. It wasn't a very crowded day, really pretty pool, nice warm day. He was there with his kids, seemed like a teenage son and maybe a son maybe around 10 or 11 years old, black family. And a woman comes up and asks him for ID. I've watched the video several times now. She and another white woman come up to them, ask them, for their identification. Like, who goes to he was staying at these condominiums in Warrenville, and she's just standing there waving around a piece of paper and saying, I need to know who you are. Where's your ID? And he's like, I'm staying here. He's like, have you asked these other people who are swimming for their identification too? And she's like, and then he starts recording. She's like, I don't want to be recorded. And like, here's the thing, folks. If you're going to stand there and demand identification as a citizen, in general, I'm sorry, folks, all bets are off. You don't want to be recorded? Guess what? In every situation you are now in, because we signed all this away. Part of it was under the Patriot Act. After 9/11, we all sat by and went, well, it's for our safety. If you haven't, remember the argument? The argument was, if you haven't done anything wrong, why are you worried about being photographed? And here we are. And so at any rate, she said she doesn't want to be photographed. She doesn't want to be videoed. Tough lady, you're the one demanding something of a man who's at the pool with his family at Arden condominiums in Warrenville, Illinois. And the reason I want to tell people it's Warrenville, Illinois, is because he made a follow-up video. I kept talking about how, Chicago was a great trip until this happened. I'm like, it's Warrenville. Stop saying Chicago. I'm sure they came into the city, but it was Warrenville, a western suburb of Chicago. And it's a hike out there. It isn't even like Chicago adjacent. It is Chicago-ish, not even. Naperville might have a bigger claim to Chicago than Warrenville. They're pretty equally distance from Chicago. But what killed me, Lady B, was that his son, as this woman says, I'm going to call the police on you. Her son loses it and he starts crying. And because his son was like, I'm afraid you're going to go to jail, Daddy. And his dad is like, what do you do in that moment? Do you essentially stand your ground, as so many people in this country prefer to do, stand their ground? Or do you get scared? She called the cops. Now I may actually FOIA the body cam from the Warrenville Police Department. Here's what I want to know. What are law enforcement agencies doing to deter people from needlessly calling law enforcement because a black person is in your vicinity? Because this woman needs to be held accountable for traumatizing this young boy and the people who watch this video with her snarky, condescending, where's your ID? I need to see don't film me. I need to see your ID. Like, lady, like, I'm so angry. Anyway, I put calls in to both the Arden condominiums in Warrenville as well as to the Warrenville Police Department. Hopefully I have a chance to get some answers. I may FOIA the body cams because I want to know what the conversation was like. What did they say? Were they wearing body cams? Because we often think about body cams being necessary for violence, because when you call the cops because someone is black, you are escalating a situation that could otherwise be resolved with, like, going back to the office and say, if you absolutely need to know who is on the pool deck, go to the office and say, hey, do you know who that is? Like, and why do you need to know? What is he doing except for playing in the water? They were playing in the water. What?
Exactly. Is she a building manager? Who is she to ask?
Never identified herself in this video.
See, no.
And the cops are called on him twice.
Oh, see, no, that's harassment.
It is harassment. There. Full stop. Anyway, my call to the Arden condominiums has been placed. I need to take a break. Jim, if you hold on, we have an interview coming up with our friend Morgan Coghill, who has run for office, and we want to find out what he's up to these days. Corbin Trent is already here. I hope he knows that we're on Central Time. I may have to let him know about that. Stand by, everybody. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150, and all of our friends tuning in digitally. We're so happy to have you here. We'll be checking with Morgan Coghill in just a moment. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. I have to push. There's so many buttons to push, and mine are already pushed.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
News for those Chicagoans heading up to southern Wisconsin. Should you ever forget to load up on progressive brews from the local favorites like Rogers Park Provisions or Park West Liquor in Lincoln Park, Minocqua Brewing Company beer is now conveniently available at Dream Liquor and Cigar in Kenosha and in the Lake Geneva area at Delavan Liquor and Smoke in Delavan. If the great town of Madison, Wisconsin is your jam, please remember to swing into the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room at 2927 East Washington Avenue to grab some Resistance beer, pizza, t-shirts, and progressive camaraderie.
No detours, no distractions, just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and all of our friends who are tuning in digitally. We are thrilled to welcome back to the show Morgan Coghill, former Lake County candidate, and he's the founder of the Northern Illinois Progressives. And I want to learn so much more about this. I feel like I'm in Northern. Is Chicago considered Northern Illinois, Morgan?
Absolutely, 100%.
Excellent. Then I shall join you. How do I sign up? What do we do? What are we doing? What's the call to action?
Our call to action is we're going to push all of our Democratic candidates and elected officials to the left as far as they can go and even further than they want to go. When we've had massive success doing it, and we're going to keep doing it on Lake County and beyond. But we're just getting started here.
That sounds really exciting. So tell me about this, because I know that a lot of you, so I ran for office in 2020 and I went right into the pandemic, but I kept something going called Neighbor Patty, which we amplified stories about small business owners. We were doing a podcast. I continue to volunteer at the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, because running for office, for those who just get in and get out, who are like, yeah, I guess I didn't win. That didn't work out. I'll just crawl away. That's essentially what you guys are you're all saying. We're here to fight. I've seen guys like Dylan Blaha and Kevin Ryan, to name a couple. So tell us a little bit about
two of my buddies.
And there you go. Well, Dylan just wrote a piece that I found fascinating about. I mean, I think that like Rich Miller and Capital Facts is so inside baseball, but that people need to know about how much power this guy has had. When you guys talk about like pushing people farther to the left, that also means not being beholden to somebody who might blog about legislation that you pass, right?
Exactly. And so we've been pushing people so far that one of the Lake County board members decided to take over an Indivisible group because they gave me money during the campaign because I was primarying Schneider. She just she had founded it and took it back over.
Okay.
So and throughout the board of directors, throughout the executive director, it seems to have settled out now. They formed their own new group called the Indivisible Community of Lake County. And she apparently has given up the money now that she had taken from them. So
interesting.
So we're out here causing good trouble, and we're going to keep doing it.
So tell us about some of the things, because one of the issues I know you guys have taken up is the fight for against data centers. Just being, we're seeing this over and over again in town halls, and it seems as though they target areas that they think are going to be less likely to fight back. Is that,
they are.
Sense? Yeah.
And Grays Lake, that's what's happening in Grays Lake. In fact, tomorrow night at College of Lake County in Grays Lake, we have the Lake County Data Center Education Forum. We have experts from Wisconsin, from Illinois, to talk about the effects of these things. And we've almost sold it out. I think we have our 5 or 10 tickets left.
Wow.
If you look up the Lake County Data Center Opposition Coalition, I'm actually going to be emceeing it and hosting it. So please, you can either log on, or if there are tickets available, it's also acting as a fundraiser. So we'd love to see everyone there that we can get, because we are really excited. We have already, due to our pressure, moratorium on unincorporated parts of Lake County for data centers. So first victory. Second, this monstrosity they're trying to build. They'd wanted to fill in 16 acres wetlands. They've already pulled that permit. They're not going to do that due to public pressure from people like us.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep going forward.
That's fantastic. And for the folks who were involved in your campaign, are there people who, were with you volunteering, knocking on doors, who are also part of this organization, who just know that things are a little bit sketchy all around?
Yes. Actually, the founder, I'm not the founder. The founder is Augusta Goufoy, who was on with me the last time.
Yes, I remember.
And many of the people who helped me and worked with me on my campaign, including Ivy Woods and Chris Miller, they're all part of this new organization. And in addition to the data center thing, we're doing on August 11th, we're doing a school supply drive. We're partnering with the United Way of Lake County to get school supplies for kids that might not be able to get it. So we'll be at Tacos El Norte in Gurnee on North Riverside Drive at 6 o'clock. So if you have any pens, markers, notebooks, whatever, we'd love to see you.
Yeah.
And to help out kids in North Chicago, Round Lake, Waukegan, and Zion, 58% of those kids are low-income households, and we're looking to help them.
I think that is so important because a lot of people who run for office, as I mentioned, just when they lose, they just, maybe just go on and do something else. Maybe they run for office again. But, one of the things that people, I would say, that conservatives have done is be a part of like neighborhood organizations in ways that maybe, I'm not saying Democrats don't, but I do think, even if it's as neighborhoodly as being in the church organizations, which, I'm trying to figure out the best way to articulate this is while Democrats do a lot of grassroots activities, we need to be as intentional as you guys are being when it comes to the issues that can be impacted by policy our legislators enact, right?
Exactly. And they respond to pressure. And in addition to the data center thing, the next thing on our list is flock cameras. They're everywhere. So we're leveraging our activism on data centers into trying to deflock all of Lake County. These things are everywhere. It's mass surveillance. Highland Park flock cameras were pinged to prosecute a woman from Texas who came to Illinois for an abortion. Yeah, this is Big Brother stuff. So we're trying to make a difference on a local level as much as we can. As you said, a lot of people run for office and they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything until next time comes around. No.
Yeah.
No, my kids live here. I live here. I want them to grow up in a thriving democracy and in freedom. And if we don't defend it, no one's going to.
What has been the reaction? Let's just take the legislator that you ran against, for instance. Are they open to conversations about pushing things that are important to the community, about fighting for them?
They don't care. They don't care. They're in the pocket of AIPAC, big pharma, and big insurance. They don't care. They get their checks from, Brad Schneider got $31,000 from AI. He's not going to fight data centers.
Right.
So.
And that's what I try to impress upon people is that, and I just had this conversation earlier about when I ran, like I reached out to then Representative Chris Welch about my race and the ways in which the incumbent like weaponized, not just for me, but for people in general, weaponized the trauma of rape survivors and homicide survivors. And I was like, how are you, and this is before he was speaker, how are you, one of the leaders of our party, and you have Democrats who do want to fight, who do want to do the work, who want to show up, and yet you are willing to cannibalize good Democrats. Like, Schneider should be reaching out and going, hey, that was a good race. You called me out on a lot of stuff. Let's figure out a way to work together. Like, that should be the way Democrats work.
It should be, but he doesn't care.
Right.
And, he has his own little niche, and he's going to stay in there, and he doesn't want any of that sort of input. He calls himself a progressive. No, he's not.
So
he's
no, go ahead. He's what?
He's MAGA light.
Well, and we saw some of that throughout the Chicagoland area in Illinois. When we pride ourselves on being, I think we're barely safely blue. Wouldn't you say in Illinois?
I'd say we're blue. I don't think it's ever going to go red, at least in the near future. But people have started demanding, Democrats, it's not just enough to be not Donald Trump. We have to be for something. We have to be advocating for something. Medicare for all, universal pre-K, universal childcare. These are things that we want, not just, we have a 12-point plan with no details as to how to lower costs, maybe, possibly, which we'll forget about after we win the election.
Oh, well, and the other thing, Jen Esposito had a guest on. She hosts the show before me, talking about disability rights and what this administration is doing in regards to essentially what it feels like to families like mine. Working towards institutionalizing our loved ones to fill as many beds as possible to make more money, because when you have, that's where all of a sudden there'll be plenty of spending for private facilities. And Illinois is already one of the worst states. We are 49th when it comes to services for the disabled. And one of the reasons why we're not going to get better is because of how much damage has been done over the years by both parties.
49th. Illinois should never be 49th in any sort of service. We're one of the shining lights in this country.
Nope,
and we should not. We pay other people's taxes.
Yep.
We pay for Tennessee, we pay for Indiana, we pay for all of these people. So no, that should not be happening here. That is a shame.
Every time I tell somebody that, like even somebody who is on the ballot to be lieutenant governor, because our community is least likely to be able, not least likely, but it is challenging for us to show up to rally to our legislator's office. Many families, I mean, the divorce rate is over 72%. Resources are bare as it is. What were you going to say, Morgan?
No, that would be something that we could cover in Medicare for All.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to worry about. Well, you'd have to worry less. No,
right.
Of course there'd be worries. Of course it would be difficult, but it doesn't have to be impossible.
I know, but there isn't a sense of urgency when it comes to those issues, it seems. What do you want folks to know about joining your efforts and getting involved?
So join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram. It's Northern Illinois Progressives. We're going to be having our monthly meeting a week from today, actually, in Gurnee at Tacos El Norte. And then a week later in the Mundelein Public Library, we're going to be doing a teach-in about deflocking your community.
Deflocking everybody. I think a lot of people want to know about that because there are so many people online right now giving sort of homemade remedies, like spraying your plate with some sort of reflective material.
Yeah, it's that in Illinois that's illegal. In certain states it isn't. But in Illinois, I would not recommend doing that because it also messes with if it's pay by plate on exactly. So you don't want to do that here. There are other ways to make life miserable for the flock cameras, and most of them are legal, and we'll go through some of those.
Are there any you can share on the air? I guess.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. For an easy one. So if you know how all of us have on the backs of our cars, we have the model, the name of the model of your car, whatever it is. Those are stickers. You start pulling those off. All of a sudden, the flock camera, it's not just reading your license plate, it's creating a profile of the whole car. So if you have really unique bumper stickers, it's creating a profile of your car based on that. You start taking that stuff off, all of a sudden their database isn't as useful.
So you want identifying easily identifiable markers on your car.
Exactly.
Gotcha. That's very good to know. I appreciate that because we are seeing some horrifying stories. There was one, I believe it was Colorado. It's a western state where this police officer shows up on this woman's porch, telling her she's being charged.
I saw that.
Yeah, she was being charged with porch piracy, meaning that she was accused of stealing a package from someone's porch, and he refused to let her give him information that was contrary to what he had from flock cameras. There are police officers, as we've talked about, that are tracking ex-girlfriends. They're stalking people they have a crush on. There was one woman who they tracked who was leaving, as you mentioned, the state to have an abortion. I mean, it is terrifying. So, folks, we need to wake up when it comes to these flock cameras, and we need to wake up to what's happening with data centers. There are communities that are being told to turn their lights off, turn their power off, turn their air conditioners off because the data center needs it, not you. Which is wild.
Yeah, and these flock cameras in Mundelein, we had a tragic police shooting in May. Police department hadn't said anything, but they put out a press release 3 weeks later about the brand new flock cameras we all have, which they spent $40,000 on. Why didn't you spend that on training or de-escalation as opposed to some new toy that is Big Brother, in the form of a camera?
This is interesting. I don't know what inspired someone to write this. You know how we can find more money for funding for things like disability services? Babe, being a better steward of our money. Interesting. I think it's difficult for the Democratic leaders to cut waste and fraud. We're really good at raising taxes, but the last time a Democratic mayor talked about reducing headcount or refocusing spending was maybe Daley. So there's a lot in that sentence. First of all, the babe part sort of disqualifies you for a reasonable conversation in the first place, Dink. Just saying. Secondly, it's difficult for Democratic leaders to cut waste and fraud. You know what? It's amazing to me how much Democrats. So we're talking. I'm assuming with you're talking about Medicare, you're saying about fraud that's being committed in our support services systems, and not the fraud that's being committed by billionaires, by white collar criminals, by our sometimes our government as well. So it's interesting that that's the target. What are your thoughts when you hear a statement like that, Morgan?
Oh, well, it's just one of those talking points that people on the right never actually think about. The fact that Trump is selling pardons to fraudsters. They're complaining about several million, but they're letting the big whales, the billionaires, go. I mean, come on.
Yes.
I don't want to hear. I do not want to hear about fraud, waste, and abuse. It's nonsense. It's a non-starter. Move on.
Yeah.
Until you're punishing the big ones, don't talk to me about this penny ante stuff.
Yeah, the hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud that's being committed by the corporations, by the uber wealthy, and you want to make sure that somebody isn't buying soda when they go to the grocery store with their SNAP dollars. Morgan Coghill, how do people learn more about the organization that you are working with, the Northern Illinois Progressives?
Please find us on Facebook. Our group name is Northern Illinois Progressives. We're also on Instagram. You can also reach out to us at info@northernillinoisprogressives.com.
Outstanding. Have a wonderful evening, Morgan. We look forward to talking to you again, my friend. Enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Patty. Will do. There's not much left.
I know. Soak every second of it you possibly can. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150, and our friends listening digitally or in the future on our podcast. We'll be right back.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our conversation here on Driving It Home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we're so thrilled that you're joining us. Whether you're tuning in digitally on Facebook, YouTube, and Minocqua Brewing Company Substack, please consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts with your family and friends about tuning in and joining the conversation as well. And thank you to our friends who are listening terrestrially here in the Chicagoland area on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. That's 8:20 a.m. If you're wondering how you can listen to us in your car or in your kitchen. But you can also download one of the radio listening apps. I tend to use TuneIn, and I've got to write down all the apps that folks have sent me in the past about where they tune in to 8:20 a.m. We're also broadcast in Seattle on 1150 KKNW. So we're so thrilled to have everyone joining us. Plus, all of our shows are available. Mine, Richard Jones, are available as podcasts at heartlandsignal.com. And I want to let you know about what's coming up for our WCPT listeners. Tomorrow on Choose Views, he's got William Elliott Hazelgrove, author of The Camp Mystic Food, A Story of Tragedy and Heroism. The flood. I apologize. I can't Mystic Flood. That is going to be a gut-wrenching conversation and important for us to know about who was there to help people. And I don't know if they'll talk about the failures in the area for the floods coming. Of course, that was that girls' camp in Texas. And Choose Views contributor Kurt Mullett will be joining him, a.k.a. Hoosier Blue 63. That's Choose Views weekdays from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. right here on WCPT. That's Central Time, by the way, for those of you wondering. And that's going to be the Heartland Signal website, as well as TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And for Joan, live, local, and progressive, Joan will be joined by Joyce Vance, who's a legal commentator and co-host of Sisters-in-Law podcast and author of Giving Up is Unforgivable, a manual for keeping a democracy, which seems very important for all of us. Ben Wickler will join her as well, who's the former chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party and author of the new book, This is the Plan, How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy. I think a lot of us have thoughts on whether or not perhaps he should have been the leader of the DNC, and maybe there's a reason they didn't want him to, because maybe he would have been more aggressive and passionate. John King, editor-in-chief for Michigan Advance, to recap today's primary election, and Abby Vasulis, national politics reporter at Mother Jones, discussing her recent reporting on Ohio Congressman Max Miller, who's in the news, of course, for abuse. And apparently now there's finally an investigation. That's live, local, and progressive on Jones Show, weekdays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central, right here. Let's get to our phone calls. Jim is on the line. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Amy pointed out that you graced the airways for 5 years, but to me, with this den of thieves in control for, I don't know, since 2016, I feel like I'm in the petrified forest for a good 100 years. I feel like I could I could decompose at any moment. I mean, I really mean it. I really mean it.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, oh, I guess this is happening. I guess I'm just fading away.
Because, I mean, my God, what we've suffered is just untold.
Right.
But real quick, if I could suggest a terrific piece of thespian art is the County Monte Cristo. Is that PBS? But it's streaming, Patty, and it's. I'm telling you, it's exquisite. The actors are exquisite. I don't recognize any of the actors, but every one of them just a tremendous performance. But get that out of the way. The King of Morocco has put 650 miles of highway called the Trump Highway. And the reason he's done this is because they stole a little bit of the Sahara in 1975 when you were a little kid, just a little kid.
Yeah.
And anyway, nobody would recognize that except Trump because, oh, yeah, I'm all for it. Well, because probably the Kushners have, there's got to be minerals there or something there. There's going to be something they could sell. Morocco. And then you wonder why those people ran for their lives out of Morocco with a king like that. They probably had no choice but to run into Spain. But anyway, it seems like a million years to me. I mean, I can't even describe it. It's just, and that like when the vice president, what's his name? What is his name?
Vance,
the vice
J.D. Vance, yeah.
When Vance said that the Nixon story would only be a 12-hour blip on the screen. Well, I ran it by the gal who prosecuted Nixon. She said, there's a lot of truth there. And I thought, you're exactly right. Because we live in an era where conversation is basically dead. The literary, we're in a literary post-age. Nobody reads any longer. And, it kills me. I was going to the store. There's one woman I know, and she can't stand Trump. So I'm talking to her, and she's got her daughter with her. And we're talking, and the daughter is, I'd say 30 or 40, but seemed to be so bored with our conversation that she's got her phone right away. She's staring at her phone. I think to myself, my God, I mean, you can't even give me the courtesy that, the 5-minute conversation, and then you got something more important to say on the phone, or what? I mean, it's just, I mean it, it's just a different world.
I agree.
But we'll get him on November 3rd. We got to live till that day.
Yep.
Anyway,
we'll find another day. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking my call, Patty.
Thank you. And I'll take more phone calls. We're going to have an interview in just a moment with Steve, our friend Steve Minchuk, from the Indiana Federation of Labor. And so if you hold on, I will take your phone calls after my interview with him. Because I don't want you, if you want to hang up and call back, but I just want to let you know that I have an interview coming up with Steve Minchuk, president of Northern Indiana Area of Federation of Labor. In just a moment, they have a poker run fundraiser coming up this weekend. So we want to find out more about that. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKW 1150. Thank you all for joining us digitally or on a podcast as well.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses. She's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us for this drive home. Hello to all of our friends tuning in the Chicagoland area on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And, of course, we have our friends tuning in on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, 1150 KKNW 1150. KTNF AM 950. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 1150 KKNW in Seattle. Just trying to reset. Lady B, let's fix that in the record. I'm kidding. I have to fix that. So many stations, so many people tuning in digitally, and that means that we have so many folks finding new ways to listen to our show. Maybe you're watching us on the live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and Minocqua Brewing Company Substack, and all of our shows are available on our Heartland Signal website as a podcast. We want to thank our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. Put in an order for some of the best single origin roasted to order beans you have ever had. They're truly a wonderful small batch roaster. And I believe Jackie from Pride Coffee Roasters will be joining us in studio this Thursday, along with our friends from Vargo Brothers, who make incredible fermented foods, including this garlic paste that everyone at the station has to smell me walking through the hallways having consumed. It's incredible. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar, make an appointment with Peter Sorellis. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business, and he will walk you through that entire process. Plus, he has partnered with Illinois Solar for All to help you with financing. That's source.solar. and of course, Kirk Bankstead and all of our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, and maybe you want to order a couple, 2, 3, 4 packs of some fascist tears, because they are delicious, is all I'm saying. Please subscribe to the Minocqua Brewing Company Substack to stay up to date on all the incredible products at the Minocqua Brewing Company Substack and Marketplace. Right now, we want to turn our attention to Indiana. I was thinking about Indiana. I think a lot about Indiana in various ways. They're not just our neighbors, but I've had a lot of really great shows in Indiana as a stand-up comedian. I spent a lot of time camping in Indiana. Indianapolis is one of my favorite cities in the Midwest, and there's a lot going on. We want to check in with our friends in labor. We have on the line with us Steve Minchuk, president of Northern Indiana Area Federation of Labor. Hey, Steve, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Pat, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
You really do have a great voice. I mentioned that as we did our sound check. First of all, tell us a little about yourself. Where'd you grow up, my friend?
I grew up in Northwest Indiana. Grew up in a typical union household, became a fireman, and did that for 20 plus years. That led me into the steel mill industry, where I'm currently at right now.
Man, when we think about the steel industry, I mean, like I get these like flashes and images throughout my life, and I was born in 1971. Whether it's in movies, I mean, Rudy comes to mind. I mean, like that, some of the basis of that story,
my favorites,
right? His dad.
Hey, he's a great union leader too. Great union leader. I actually met him in Minnesota.
Did you really? Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, at the convention. He was there, and he is now the new president for the Actors Union.
Yeah, Sean Astin is the president of SAG-AFTRA. That's right. He's actually I was a labor captain for the SAG-AFTRA strike here in Chicago. We obviously had a national strike, and I think that it's interesting, this sort of ebb and flow of labor, isn't it? Whether it's, as we just mentioned, a depiction of a steel worker in the movie Rudy. And for me, Norma Rae was a movie that I absolutely love. Are you familiar with Norma Rae?
No.
Oh,
I feel bad. Bad.
Have you ever seen? Well, it's Sally Field, and she's standing. It's the textile workers in the South, and organizing labor then. And when we think about like the ways in which labor has been the target of very powerful administrations and corporations and billionaires, tell us a little bit about the landscape of Indiana and where we are today with labor.
Labor is what built Northwest Indiana in my eyes. With all the industries we have up here, and it's not just, everyone thinks your union workers, your steel workers, your trades workers. I mean, it's the police, it's the fire, it's the teachers, it's the grocery store workers. Northwest Indiana was built on union labor, 100%.
Yeah, I think people don't necessarily put 2 and 2 together about how much of a role labor and the unions and the rights that you guys fight for impact everyone's life, not just the people in the unions, right?
Correct. It's like, I'll use myself, for example. I was a volunteer football coach for almost 20 years. And what allowed me to do that and give back to the community was having a great union job. So if we're making great union wages, we're able to take that money, reinvest it back in our communities, and keep our communities thriving.
What do you want to share with our audience in relation to BP and what's happening in Indiana with that battle?
Yeah, so again, I don't want to get too much into it because they are in a lockout right now, and I'm not part of the negotiations. As a representative with the AFL-CIO, we're there to support them. But right now, they have over 800 union oil workers locked out. They've been locked out for over 5 months, and if you just see the quarterly reports so far in 2026, BP has made $8.9 billion in profits, and again, a foreign company making money and profits off our American backs. And then they're just, they don't want to negotiate. They don't want to give a fair contract. And like I said, it's going on 5 months now. And it's not just the workers that are impacted. It's the families. I talked about the communities not being able to reinvest, the mom and pop grocery stores, the Little League fields, the Pop Warner fields, etc. Everybody feels the effect in the long run. So in the long run, this is hurting the region as a whole.
Yeah, it's insane to me, sort of this imbalance when it comes to the profits that are being made. Let me give you an example. There are moments in life, I don't know if this happens to you, where you just know exactly how everything felt in the moment. I was down in Springfield in 2015 when our governor was trying to make Illinois a right to work state. And they would often use Indiana as an example of why it would work for Illinois. So I did some research, and at the time, this is again 2015, so we're 11 years ago, and I said to one legislator from downstate Illinois, I said, look, you have CEOs that are making almost 280 times more than what their average worker is making. How is this sustainable? How is that gap something that you want to uplift in Illinois as well? And he said, at least they have a job. And so this is what they say is like, basically, it doesn't matter what rights come with it, what the benefits are, what the protections are. That's not the case. Human labor is what makes the profits, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, without the workers, you're not getting a product.
Yeah.
It's flat as that. You need someone to get dirty. You need someone, you could have your CEOs and you can make your billions and millions of dollars, but you need someone to build your house. You need someone to build your car. You need someone to come do your plumbing, electric, etc. And, that's what union labor is there for.
Exactly. So tell us about the poker run, because you've got a poker run, and let folks know, where this came from and what the plans are for the event.
Yeah, so I met with the BP USW 7-1 president, Eric Schultz, great guy, known him for years. And unfortunately, this isn't his first go around. That first night, they got locked out. I was out there with them, talking to him before they officially got locked out. And, the outreach, the outpouring from the support and the people were great. And Eric's like, Steve, this is great. He goes, we've done this before. He goes, in 2-3 weeks, he goes, we're going to have people handing us coffees and pop and pizzas, etc. And he's like, in 3-4 weeks, we won't see it no more. And then we're really going to struggle. So we got to thinking, and I want to do a few things. And of course, it's hard to plan something far out because you don't want to, plan for something in September and October and give a false narrative like, hey, we're going to be locked out this long. Yeah. So Eric's got, some good things going right now. They got some people doing meal trains for him. They got some different Amazon things set up. But, I came up with this poker run because the way I look at it, with a lot of our union brothers and sisters, especially here in Northwest Indiana, a lot of us, I myself have a motorcycle. People have nice cars. You're not driving those at refineries, job sites, etc. So I figured this is a good way to not only kind of show off your hard-earned work, your little toys you might have, but also to kind of give back to our brothers and sisters. So this is something we kind of came up with on the fly. We're meeting at USW 6787 in Chesterton, Indiana. And from there, we will take off at 11 a.m. this Saturday and hit 4 different stops. And at the final stop will be Buddy and Pals in Crown Point, Indiana. And from there, we'll feed everybody that participated in the ride. And then all the proceeds go 100% into the USW 7-1 Strike and Defense Fund.
Outstanding. I mean, it sounds like a great day. And let folks know, like these workers don't get unemployment during this time. This is a scary period. This is holding the line, isn't it?
Yes. A lot of them have to go other jobs. It's hard. I hear people that don't understand unions. Well, I don't see them out there with their signs, etc. But they're out there funding, trying to, get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for their family. School's starting back up right now. People have, kids are getting ready for school and playing sports, etc. And people are doing what they got to do to try and make a little bit extra cash while they're locked out. It's very sad because, it just doesn't affect them 800 employees. It affects the entire Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, it's a lot happening to folks who have been working hard their entire lives, generationally, as we mentioned about the steel industry and the other sort of labor that people have been able to uplift Indiana with. And it's time to make sure that we support them. So how do folks get involved? Where should they go?
We got stuff posted on Facebook. I definitely will send you guys the flyers. But again, Saturday morning, we will be registering at 10 a.m. at the USW 6787 Hall in Chesterton. Kickstand's up at 11. So if anybody would like to come out, whether you have a car, a motorcycle, be a passenger, etc., come out. We'd love to have you. Like I said, all proceeds go directly to the workers. And like I said, it's going to be a poker run. We're going to hit 4 different stops. At the end of it, gonna have some pizza and some wings and try and enjoy a good time for the moment, because it's not a good time when we're doing it, but we're trying to take our minds off of it.
Absolutely. Again, the website is also NWIFED. We've been talking to Steve Minchuk, president of Northern Indiana Area Federation of Labor. Their poker run fundraiser this Saturday in support of United Steelworkers Local 71, which is locked out by BP. And we really appreciate the work that you and all your brothers and sisters are doing. And we're here whenever you need us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. Have a great rest of your day, my friend. Enjoy the days of summer.
You too.
Take care. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation. We'll take your phone call, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. You can text us at that number, too. More in a moment on WCPT, KKNW, KTNF, and everywhere digitally, friends.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
We have a couple of calls on hold that I want to make sure I get to. We have a guest coming up. I believe we're going to have we don't know if we're having Corbin Trent. I don't know. We'll find out in a moment, I guess. Your guess is as good as mine. There's a time difference across the country, and sometimes we have folks who forget that we are Central. How can you forget Central? Like, I feel like we're considered the flyover states. It's either Eastern time or Pacific time, and we are on Chicago time, including Al in Franklin Park. I know that I see that you have an event coming up that you want folks to know about. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Well, it's all about getting the vote out and being out in massive numbers for voting. And we're having an event tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and it will also be on our YouTube channel called Beyond Tabling. And it's 3 different indivisible groups that are talking about methods that have been used to start conversations about politics. And it has worked for these people. And we'll have it on our YouTube channel after the event. But right now, to be involved and be on it, you can go to mobilize.us and enter in the search term tabling, and it will show up for tomorrow. And so it's just, it's all about, man, we just got to overwhelm the polls. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they're trying to come up with ways to make people not vote right now or at this time. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean, that was, look, I remember when I became first fully aware of people not showing up to vote, which would be the governor's race. I mean, I just never I never gave much thought to low voter turnout. I mean, like maybe it popped up for me now and then, but with the primary, first of all, for that gubernatorial race when Pat Quinn was running for re-election after he had been, he became governor under Blagojevich's indictment and finally prosecution. That was the one, I believe it was only, and it was so heartbreaking for me, it was 16% voter turnout that year. in Chicago, I believe. And, so it meant that Rauner, who was running in a pretty packed field of Republicans, was not really chosen by even a majority of Republicans in the state of Illinois because people simply didn't show up. So you get what you get. When somebody as terrible as Donald Trump is on the scene, and I know that more people did show up, but it's still compared to the population and the voting age voters in the United States, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's just hard to get people to understand that they have to vote because they are so busy and there's so much propaganda and to make them not care about voting and make it look like both sides are the same.
Yes. And
we surely know that's not the case right now. So that's my main point. And then one day I can talk to you about all the churches I've been going to around the area, and I'm finding progressive ones, and the Baha'i community is also trying to put together organizations to get churches together to, talk about the future. They try to stay away from politics, but they're a bunch of great people, and I've been to some good events with them.
Yeah, and here, I just want to, I would love to hear more about that and how folks get involved. The voter turnout for presidential elections is obviously always higher, right? Primaries is always much lower. And I think the work has to be done in regards to midterm election years in order to help people understand how much more directly your life is impacted negatively or positively by your state electeds, by the folks who are running for Congress in those off years, the midterm years. So I appreciate the work that you guys are all doing. Remind folks the website where they can join that meeting digitally as well as other events coming
up. Go to mobilize.us and in the search term, enter tabling. And it's also the fact that there's so many, their propaganda is trying to make us not vote in the midterms.
Right.
And have apathies towards voting. And that's one of the things that we got to be working against. And they're keeping people so busy and just unable to pay attention because there's so much going on in their lives. And we certainly see that now.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And delegitimizing elections and making it seem like it's all rigged anyway also makes people feel like they shouldn't bother.
Yeah, correct. And if we all get out to vote, I mean, that's what happened in the 2024 election is that the people did not come out to vote for the presidential election. And mainly, a lot of people thought it was in the bag for Kamala. And then we had all these forces working against us, like Turning Point USA, like Christian National and TV and radio. They have a big bullhorn up against us right now, and so it all has to be community organizing, and we got to do more work digitally too, figuring out how to communicate better on the internet between all our progressive organizations to get the message out.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's get to Steve from the Gold Coast. Hey, Steve, what's on your mind, my friend?
Well, a couple of points. One, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, poor Governor Quinn, he got stuck with being associated with Rod Blagojevich in the same way that poor Gerald Ford got stuck with being associated with Richard Nixon. Coming off of that, it wasn't that people turned to Bruce Rauner. It was just that they didn't turn out. And marginally more people ended up voting for the Republican, and that was a disaster. But, you just no matter what happens in terms of scandal or whatnot, you cannot forget the next election. You can't just say, I'm not going to show up anymore. No, this game goes on and on and on. And if you just show up for one big election, we don't elect messiahs. They're not our saviors. Somebody has to keep showing up and electing new people and making sure that your candidate stays in power if at all possible.
Yep.
And with regard to the conversation you had earlier, for people who don't know it, the Doge offices have closed. The website's no longer active. What did waste, fraud, and abuse, disappear? We didn't prosecute anybody. That's what fraud is.
Right.
It's a legal term.
No.
So, it was all a bunch of about nothing. And and this is where we are. So yeah, I mean, we want to go after somebody who's getting an extra $5 from some SNAP benefits, not the people who are getting trillions of dollars in breaks.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. By the way, that voter turnout for the election we're talking about in Illinois, the primary in 2014, the voter turnout statewide was 18%. So if you take, and if there were, let's say there were, I don't know, 6, 7, I don't know how many candidates there were on the Republican ticket, that means that small percentage was who chose Governor Rauner. Who
Absolutely.
became the candidate to become
Yeah. And how did that turn out? I mean, one of the worst governors that Illinois has ever. But unlike for our side, for Republicans, it's pretty much just do nothing. If you can accomplish doing nothing, that's what Republicans want. They want government not to function, and that's the outcome that they want. Just leave us alone, and that's the way to sabotage them. So Governor Rauner for them was a successful governor, but for most people, he was not.
Yeah. It was terrible. It was it set us back. And I also think that was happening across the country when you had this wave of the Tea Party candidates won earlier than Governor Rauner's race, whether it was Walker in Indiana, in Wisconsin. I mean, that was where Project 2025 was implemented, by putting people like Rauner in office in state capitals.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the old saying. I mean, Republicans argue that government doesn't work, and then they get into office and prove it. Like I said, they don't have to accomplish anything.
No, they really don't. Thanks for calling, Steve. I appreciate you. Have a good evening. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150, KTNF AM 950, and all of our friends who are tuning in digitally and also checking out our podcast. I don't think we're going to have Corbin Trent. Okay, interesting. Just saying. More after this.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
News for those Chicagoans heading up to southern Wisconsin. Should you ever forget to load up on progressive brews from the local favorites like Rogers Park Provisions or Park West Liquor in Lincoln Park, Minocqua Brewing Company beer is now conveniently available at Dream Liquor and Cigar in Kenosha and in the Lake Geneva area at Delavan Liquor and Smoke in Delavan. If the great town of Madison, Wisconsin is your jam, please remember to swing into the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room at 2927 East Washington Avenue to grab some Resistance beer, pizza, t-shirts, and progressive camaraderie.
No detours, no distractions. Just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, folks, has anyone been watching? It's so hard to watch Dementia Downey have any sort of response to reporters. Every single time, no matter what the question is, that challenges Trump's, I want to just say, just his intellect in general, he just calls them fake news. They're no good. Nobody watches you. And this reflecting pool thing, I know that, one, it's just so deeply dumb to have to even talk about it. And yet it is a reflection, and I am using the pun intentionally, of where we are, right? Because every single thing, MAGA just 1,000% goes elbows deep into this crap about how, no, he's not on. I don't know. He's not. There's nobody there. Oh, there he is. Now he is. All right, let's get Corbin Trent on. Stand by. Okay. At any rate, MAGA will buy anything, whether it was the Doge checks are going to be cut, the tariff checks are going to be cut, the health care check is going to be cut. Really, no matter what they serve up, MAGA just slurps it up. And maybe that's part of our problem, is that we don't just believe blindly. Corbin Trent joins us on the line. He is a Democratic strategist who served as Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's communications director and is the founder and executive director of A Fight Worth Having. It's a progressive super PAC, and you can find that at afightworthhaving.com. Hey, Corbin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty well. How you doing?
If you're not going to be in camera, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off. And I just feel, let's just do that.
All right. Yeah, I'm just sitting, it's not a good view.
Fair enough. Well, you're our friend from Tennessee. How are things in your neck of the woods?
I mean, we've got Justin Pearson's doing a much better race than I thought was going to be even possible with Tennessee 9 being redistricted. So that's an exciting thing. Michaela Barnett's running in Tennessee 2, which has not gone for a Democrat since the Civil War. So we've got an uphill slog, but she's a pretty good candidate. Tennessee is an interesting place. I talk about it a lot on media. I write about it a lot. With all this talk of socialism and everything. I was thinking about the other day, like growing up in East Tennessee. It's like you see the evidence of what the government can do when it builds and owns things. And then it was just surrounded by it, whether it's the TVA and all the network of dams and lakes and power generation and power, transformation, or, Oak Ridge, like the whole national laboratory, this entire area where I live, where I'm at right now, actually is in Oak Ridge, exists because of a massive government program. And it's interesting to me that this state has seen so much, this region has seen so much growth and innovation and wealth, built here, generations of poverty eliminated, only to be sold back a bill of goods of neoliberalism and Reaganism and now MAGA. And it's interesting because I think there is possibility. I've always hoped that that Tennessee would come back to where it needs to be, and it could look around itself and see what can be done. Like there's the evidence. So, I think Michigan's going to be leading the way right now, just like New York was, just like Colorado was. And I think that if we can build a different kind of Democratic Party, one that is more accountable, one that's more able to sell a vision of a future that's brighter and better, then maybe we can lap it up, like MAGA does.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, yeah, but there's a difference. And I often talk to folks about, like, when you're explaining what New Deal Democrats are, and I think that, like, MAGA did a good job of hijacking anything that we might have, like, tried to do with rebranding. Why are they so much better at the rebranding, right? You've got the Tea Party conservatives, you've got the Don't Tread on Me conservatives, the MAGA conservatives. Like, there's something in their language. It's like we explain too much, right? I know that my friend Tim Hogan was talking about how, and I'm sure this is just a saying, that Republicans bring you a plate of brownies and Democrats want to bring you what you want to do is you want to add sugar that has been organically grown and like go into the
NPR
details.
version of the recipe.
Yes, exactly. Instead of the finished brownies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partially because, for whatever reason, Democrats, by and large, are embarrassed by being wrong more than Republicans are. Like, I'll just tell you one. Right. So one example of that, this is years and years ago. I was working with Alexandria Still, and it was right after the primary, before she was seated. And I think we were going on the Daily Show, or she was, I don't remember what it was. But I was trying to understand the incomes and the income brackets, how many people are making how much money, right? And I believe the number was 40% of Americans make less than $20,000 was the number. Now, the problem is, I did the math real quick and this and that, and I think what she ended up saying on the Daily Show was like 200 million Americans, or we extrapolated the population of the United States, not 40% of workers, right? And so she was mortified that on national TV she said something that was wrong, right? And it was, but I mean, the core of it was right, which is 40% of American workers made less than $20,000 a year that year, right? But the exact thing she said was wrong. So instead of just like, doubling down and saying, yeah, whatever, 40% of America, and then just leaning into the stats, especially progressives get gun shy anytime they make a mistake, and I just think if you say enough words, you're going to make a mistake, period. Right. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And especially start pulling stats and statistics and this and that. And, I mean, like, what we know is that life ain't affordable, period.
Right.
And, there's going to be people that will say, well, according to the purchasing power graph put out by Fred, the purchasing power of the households has been increasing. Well, yeah, okay. By the math that we're presented. And that's the other problem, is that Democrats are they've so decided to wrap themselves in evidence completely that if they see a mathematical formula that says, hey, actually, households are doing better now than they were 40 years ago, then even though they know in their gut that that can't be right, instead of looking for how that can be the case mathematically and still be wrong, they just accept that it is and then try to rebrand. And then in their hearts, they believe that people are better off.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It really is. I've thought about this for a long time because I'm a stand-up comic by trade, and I would travel around the country. And Rush Limbaugh was in his ascendancy in the '90s, and I would hear him say things that I knew to be wrong. Right? I mean,
right.
And not just wrong. Right? The exaggerations. I remember we were talking about this not too long ago. The woman who was fighting for birth control access through her employer. Right? And he would go on and talk, like basically call her a whore for needing birth control. So it goes beyond just the language of being accurate and trying to get people to understand where we're coming from, how we want to get there, giving all the details and the directions. It's just the cutthroat, like just saying things that are demonstrably horrible and untrue, right? It's just like
absolutely.
It's not just that they don't mind being wrong; it's that they bathe in being deeply dumb and awful.
Right. And then the problem is that we don't have the equivalent of saying like, like, okay, yeah, like own that then. Like, this is the party of, like, I don't want to go to their party. Their party's no fun. There's no sex. There's no drinking. There actually is, but they want to pretend like there's not, right? Their party would be so boring. Like they're no fun at all. They don't want to have fun. They don't want to build stuff. They don't want to take, they don't want to take us to a better place. They just want to sit around and call people whores and tell them not to, hold hands in public. And, it's so funny what it is that we're fighting against, and we're unable to embarrass them for being themselves. That's one of the things that I'm confused about.
That's and not like it doesn't matter if they get embarrassed, but everyone should be laughing at them. That's the part. Yes. I don't care if they're embarrassed, but people should be pointing and going, well, that's just stupid. So let's talk about Michigan, right? The polls are going to close soon, and the Democratic Party, we're going to have an answer as to whether or not, because we've been talking about Abdul El-Sayed and Haley Stevens for quite a bit now for that open Senate seat. Sanders and AOC and Warren on one side, Schumer, Peters, and Whitmer on the other, which kind of tells you a lot. What do you think about tonight's, what are you looking forward to in the results? Both, I think Kansas is also worth talking about. It'll be interesting to see like how those primaries turn out. What are your thoughts on primaries tonight?
The three that I'm really focused on tonight are in Michigan. So it's Michigan 7, Michigan 13, and then, of course, the Senate race. So you've also got Donovan McKinney, which is running against an incumbent that is just like grossly incompetent, and just like a comic book character of corrupt. And then you've got Will Lawrence, who is running against, another, again, sort of AIPAC-funded kind of, standard old Democrat. And then, of course, Abdul, who is not only running against the establishment in D.C. and in Michigan, but also running against 60, 80, who knows what the final number is going to be here, but it's like it's edging close to $100 million against him in a primary, right?
Yeah.
And so I think if you could see another trifecta like we saw in New York, that would be incredible. I think obviously Kansas is going to be, there's other, I think Nebraska can end up being an interesting run too, but that's going to be more in November than tonight, and I just think that we're going to see, unfortunately, that we're going to see a Democratic Party decide whether or not it's actually going to get behind Abdul, right? And I think that's going to be the hardest thing for me to watch is like right now, and I keep telling people this, I write about it, I talk about it, this administration has this National Security Presidential Memorandum, number 7, that allows them to use all of the spying resources, CIA, NSA, FBI, all this stuff, to go after Americans, to spy on them, to indict them, to do various things based on them being not American enough, not capitalist enough, not in tune enough with traditional family values, right? So, and instead of saying, nah, actually, we do have roots in socialism as a nation, and instead of acknowledging that what made the New Deal era possible was that FDR was fighting with communists and socialists for power. That's who he was fighting with for power. Not, there were some fascists in the mix too, but the idea that we built this country without any communists, without any socialists, that we did this without public ownership or public production or public employees, that is what the current Democratic Party would have us believe. And they're aligning themselves with Donald Trump and MAGA. And when Abdul wins tonight, which I believe he will, we're going to find out if this party is more aligned with protecting neoliberalism and this market economy that's not serving the people, and they align themselves with Trump and fascism. And I think that's going to be a scary thing to see, but maybe we better see it now than later.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's so much at stake right now that all of this sort of talk to us a little bit about that narrative that they keep trying to exploit. It's always about, Democrats infighting, right? And now we see, Judge Pirro and Burgum going at it over the reflecting pool over the most stupid thing imaginable, right? It's so absurd. I did not have that on my bingo card that late Friday we would have the story that the DOJ was basically like, yep, it was incompetent installation by the people that Trump hired, right?
I mean, that was the takeaway. That it turns out they were trying too fast. They were going too furious. They needed, there were so many problems with what they're trying to do, right? It would have been a massive project. And, God bless him, if that really is what he wanted to spend his time on, that'd been fine, except the fact that he did not have the time to get it done by the 4th of July or whatever it was that he needed to do it. And then they're using their power to go after and blame people. That's what I'm saying. And to align yourself with this kind of misuse and abuse of power, to criminalize activity, like picking up a piece of broken pool liner. Yeah. Right? That's what they were trying to do. But then you extrapolate that onto real stuff, like political movements where they're talking about debanking people, right? They're ratcheting up war right now with Cuba. Marco Rubio is on a crusade to vilify, we're being basically invaded by Cuban assets is what the Marco Rubio regime would have us believe at this point. And for Democrats, even your Dan Goldmans to align themselves with this, I find it remarkable, and I was talking to this guy today. I was doing a live stream and, he was like, all your ideas seemed like they would fit squarely within the Democratic Party as it is. And I can't express to people my experience, at least on the Hill, with this Democratic Party back in 18 and 19 was that it is not the party that it is in its, charter. It's not the party that it claims to be out there in the world. It is hell-bent on maintaining the status quo. And if we keep the status quo, we're going to get Rubio. We're going to get more Trump. We're going to get more MAGA because people are sick of now. They're sick of this. They want to be able to do better. So, reflecting pool nonsense, I think it shows the level of capitulation that is required to be around Trump. You have to be able to say, yep, these guys, man, they had knives in there. It was crazy. It sure wasn't your bad call on buying a contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and here's the thing. When we talk about progressives, the now call to fear and hatred is the commies are back. And that's essentially how they're painting progressives, right? And all this language and picking labels and things like that. Talk to us about how progressives are doing across the country. And when you talk about people don't want this, what messages are resonating with them to possibly, get them to fall in love or at least in a toleration of a progressive?
Well, I think there's a lot of progressives from New York. Even in Tennessee 7, where you had Afton Bain almost win that that special election. She moved that 13, 14 points, right? And she obviously was a very progressive person in terms of the way in which she thinks, healthcare and various other things need to be done. It's the idea that we need to have a government and an economy that serves people is picking up steam, from Washington to California. You're seeing Mai Vang. I think she's got a big shot in November. We're seeing Hong possibly going to be, nominated to run on the Democratic ticket for governor in Wisconsin. I wish she would say things a little differently, but whatever. That's just my East Tennessee mentality.
Tell me, push. Well, what would you? I'm here for it.
This Thanksgiving thing, I don't know. She had this opportunity. They were asking her if she still believes that we should cancel Thanksgiving.
Let's do that. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right. I got you.
Sort of like this Columbus Day stuff, right?
Yep.
the underlying theme underneath Thanksgiving, if we want to like look deep at what the holiday is representing, we want to go back and look at the genocide that the Native Americans went through, because then yes, you could absolutely say that there's a direct line between Thanksgiving and Native American genocide. I just don't think that most people, when they're cooking dinner with their family, are celebrating any of that stuff. They're not thinking about it,
Right.
So then to try to apply that ideology and that level of thought and contemplation to a national holiday is just, I think it's bad messaging for either one of those things, for either one of those, for either getting elected or for having a conversation about, the blood-soaked history that our nation and economy have. I mean, sure, we can have those conversations, but I don't think they need to be done in the way that we're doing them, and they certainly don't need to be done in 3-minute hits on cable TV.
Well,
just go with no and move on.
As a consultant, as a strategist, I mean, so this has got to be something that she had spoken about previously, right? That she posted something about canceling Thanksgiving. I mean, this is when we think about Kamala Harris's campaign, having a clip from 2019, talking about trans individuals, not having how would you want her to? I mean, if you were sitting down with her and she's going to go out and this question's going to come up, what would you tell her to say?
I mean, if the question is, should we cancel Thanksgiving, I would just stick with no.
No. Yeah.
And then, I would just go with no.
How hard is that?
On.
No. That's a whole it's a whole sentence, as we learned.
It's done. And then, the follow-up will be like, well, you thought, and be like, yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah.
And we should not cancel Thanksgiving,
Absolutely.
And then if she wants to have she wants to go on a tour with the state and do something about, I don't know what the Native American population was in Wisconsin. I don't know the history of it, right? But if that's important to her to go and talk about and work through that as governor, then, I think that'd be a thing to do, right? But I don't think, that you do it through the idea of canceling American holidays or demonizing. Is Christmas about Christ? I don't think so. I've never had a whole lot of Christy Christmases. Mine's about like an elf on a shelf and presents and, and I'm in the Bible Belt, man, So it's just these holidays become so distant from what they're ostensibly about anyway. So I just don't think it's worth the effort. No.
You know what I'd give her? I would contact my friend who's a comedian, Jim Rule, who's a Native American from Wisconsin, and I would give her his line. We could have counter holiday, which Native Americans call it Your Welcome Day.
There you go. Right. Oh, you're welcome.
Your welcome day.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You took everything. So it's just something.
Yeah. You did something with it too. I don't know if we're really, anyway. But
at any rate, yeah. Oh, it's always great to talk to you, Corbin. I'm glad that we were able to make this work out. Corbin Trent, Democratic strategist. He's the founder and executive director of A Fight Worth Having. And indeed, it is. It's a progressive super PAC. You can find everything at afightworthhaving.com. He's also writing some great stuff on Substack. Always a pleasure to talk to you and look forward to our next conversation.
All right. Looking forward to it. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Be well. We'll see what happens next. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 and KTNF AM 950. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
We are coming to the home stretch. I only have a couple minutes here, and I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, all of our listeners tuning in, wherever you might be, and of course our guests that we've had throughout the show, and our callers, our texters. Always great to have you join. I was just listening to that promo by Cliff Cash and on Richard Shue's show. By the way, don't forget, tune in tomorrow morning. Wake up with Richard the way I do. Lady B, how are you doing today? I haven't had a chance to say hello to you, my friend, and check in these last... sort of a whirlwind last few days. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, just hanging in there. Do you get a chance? I feel like I haven't really summered. Do you know what I'm saying? I haven't I feel like I haven't sat in my backyard. I haven't gone I don't go hiking like I used to in the forest preserves for various reasons. I haven't gone to the beach. Have you done any summering things?
Not really. I normally like to barbecue with my son, and I haven't really been doing that.
Yeah.
I love going swimming with Jossie, and we only went swimming twice.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
The heat, when you wanna, it's too hot. You know what I mean? And when it's nice out, it's kind of like I got other things to do. It's just this summer is not cooperating with my schedule and emotions.
It's not. It's really not.
Saying.
It's same. And it's been like crazy weather. There's too hot, raining too much.
Yeah.
And then we have the smoke.
Oh my
in
gosh!
the air.
Yeah, that didn't help anything at all.
Yes.
Not at all. Well, thank you so much, Lady B, for everything. And we're going to wind down tomorrow. Coming up on the show, we will have our Hump Day Honey. Ken Mejia Beal will be in studio. So he just came back from Amsterdam. So we'll see if I don't know. I'm just saying. We'll see how his trip was. It sounds like he had a lot of fun. And we will have a lot to talk about. There's our friend Dylan Blaha has a Substack, and I encourage you to read his latest piece about a particular Springfield blogger that I also know quite a bit about. Just so glad someone's pulling the curtain back, and I am here for it. Spill the tea, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Love you, Lady B. Bye, everyone.